We came so far from dreams. The path was hard for me. They thought we fall, you see. Well, look at us now, look at us now. We make it hot when we on the scene. Yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team. Yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around. You know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we. Tell me who better than we. We soaring to places you never could reach. When we walk in that spot, don't hear none of you speak. Shh, do you want peace or the peace? A king about to put you to sleep. Listen, my team is elite. You not even qualified to compete. He starving, he barely can eat. I guess that's why he always itching for beef. So I put him on ice and I told him to chill. Close your mouth if you can't pay for the meal. Making statements that you know you don't mean. Nice guy trying to act like he mean. Keep it a buck, keep it a bean. Attitudes will put you dudes in the beam. Izuku, he don't live in reality. Shake back off, become a fatality. Yeah, how you gon' hate when you mirror us? He think he a star, he ain't serious. X him out, we not on the same frequency. If you broke, you ain't hearing this. Work the screw, anime, that's how I feel, period. We winning, that's making them furious. We make it high when we on the scene, yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team, yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around, you know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we.
Yo, what it do, guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie here, back with you with a new part of What If Izuku Could Summon Espers. This is part 3, and thanks a lot for the love and support for this, guys. I know What If content isn't making, well, as much strides like it used to be nowadays, especially around MHA. I still want to give it my all and basically show my love for this series no matter what anyone says. At any rate, let's go with that of a quick recap. In the last part, Izuku is now training to handle that of One For All, as All Might deciding to choose him as the successor after seeing his heroics and his ability to use that of his Esper's powers. However, unlike that in canon, where it took a while for Izuku to even clean the beach and overworked himself, this Izuku is able to basically clean at least half of the beach in that of 3 months. Mainly due to him being able to train and spar with that of his Espers after all, giving them their support. However, many are criticizing that of All Might's training methods, to be honest. Mainly that of Hangyu after all. As for Izuku's ability to become his Espers, on the other hand, that's a little bit of a strenuous topic. He can only use their powers for only that of 10 seconds, which isn't even much to begin with. Which shows, just like that of his training with One For All, he's going to need to learn how to acclimate to that of his Esper's powers too. However, outside of the training Izuku, many of his Espers have that of lives outside of it, such as that of Raven and her singing career, and also her little interactions with Eraserhead. Not to mention, Izuku gaining that of 3 new Espers too, one being Faulkner, Armin, and the last one, Camilla, where Camilla has actually already taken quite a liking to Izuku. You could call it love at first sight. I wonder how this would basically change the dynamics. So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? A few months have now gone by since Izuku's training, with basically both trying to clean up the beach of Dagobah, with also trying to handle that of his Esper abilities too, by becoming his Espers for a time being. He's basically held off on that of using Young Tron's powers, at least just yet, and starting out at least small. When it came to using that of Drew's powers, he lasted a lot longer than he did before, able to at least use that of Drew's powers for at least a good minute or two. Same thing also goes for Adrena too, able to use that of her powers for at least a good few minutes as well. As for another Esper, and that one being, well, surprisingly Camilla, as even though she has just basically joined that of the whole new group after all, she tries her best to get to understand Izuku and her trying to get him to understand her, which also leads to Izuku constantly blushing like crazy, even though he's been around Esper women almost for the past 2 years. Having somebody like that of Camilla who's constantly clinging, constantly always attached to him, almost to that of the freaking hip, could really make somebody like Izuku very uncomfortable. However, a part of him does seem a little appreciated, to be honest. She's trying to put this much effort into them having a bond. As for his training with that of One For All, cleaning Dagobah Beach isn't as bad as it was before. He's almost got the entirety of the beach cleaned up as it was before. All he has is that of a small section left, and all that's needed to fully have the body that's necessary for One For All. It would have taken a lot longer if it wasn't for that of his Espers watching his diet, keeping him on pace, and making sure he didn't overwork himself like he always does. Especially Hong Yoon, looking over his body as his personal physician basically takes notes and writes everything down on that of her tablet before then realizing, okay, you should be capable of handling his quirk now. Within hearing that, Izuku saying, wait, seriously? Within she's saying, yes, seriously. Yongchuan, looking back at that of her fellow Chinese Esper, within him nodding his head saying, indeed. But it looks of your body, and you already had a pretty decent enough body enough as it was, due to the training we've already put you through. Any more and your muscles would basically be, well, too sore after all, and basically swell, and we can't have that, Izuku. With Izuku looking down, saying, I guess that's right. With Soon being lumped on by that of Camilla once again saying, congratulations, Izu. You're gonna finally have One For All. You're gonna have All Might's quirk. Isn't that great? With Izuku blushing profusely saying, yeah, it is. Could you please let go, Camilla? Within being pulled off by that from that of Izuku, as it being that of Faulkner, saying, Lady Camilla, please stop acting so immature. Plus, the young master just finished up that of a training session. He's probably sore by now. You glomping onto him is not going to help. Within Camilla saying, oh, right, absolutely right. While she's not really too, well, beat up about her actions, but she's at least, well, accepting it. Within, Faulkner can help but sigh under his mask. With All Might looking over saying, not too shabby, kid. Your body's already quite strong enough and sturdy to handle One For All. But even so, the beach still needs at least some cleaning taken care of. As then Hong Yoon basically raising her hand saying, out of the question, All Might. The Izuku has reached the body type and muscle capacity that he would need to handle your quirk. There is no need to continue this strenuous training on his body. With All Might looking at that of the Esper who has the power of the Chinese goddess of the moon, saying, I'm guessing you're right. You're the medical expert here. Within saying, speaking of medical expert, I was hoping you would basically take up that of Recovery Girl's offer when I told you. Within, Hong Yu hearing this saying, will it pay well? Within, All Might saying, you'll be working as an assistant for one of the most decorated, and most veteran pro heroines in that of all of Japan. At that of the most prestigious hero school in all of Japan, possibly the world as well. Do you really think it's not going to pay that well? Within, she's saying, oh, I am aware. I'm just messing with you. Seeing you get a little irritated and basically humiliated is kind of my favorite pastime now, Yagi. After hearing that, All Might couldn't help but feel basically deflated at that moment, if he wasn't already in his scrawny form after all. Within, Yongchuan couldn't help but say, Hong Yoon, but then saying, yes, I understand. But then her looking back at that of the number one pro, saying, yes, I'll accept. However, I figured I would need to take that of an interview first, and Recovery Girl needs to meet me as well. She couldn't just basically give that of a mere stranger, basically that of a job already. Within, All Might saying, actually, she's been wanting to meet you for quite a bit, especially given the advice that you told me to allow me to gain at least some of my muscle back alongside, the nutrients that I was missing when I lost that of half my stomach and half my lung after all. So then she's hearing that that of the chief medical position of the Esper Union was actually quite interested, saying, oh, what does she had in mind? Within saying, come by that of UA Academy, at least that of the next 2 weeks or so. Recovery Girl will basically want to talk to you and meet with you about that of your position as an assistant at UA Infirmary. Within hearing that, she's saying, well, I'll make sure not to miss it. Within a boisterous and quite energetic voice saying, not to be that of the Debbie Downer here, but can we move it on? I want to see Izuku gain your quirk, All Might. As Lin Xiao, also there, wrapping her arm around that of Hong Yun. Within Hong Yu getting annoyed at this, and basically not even looking at that of the White Tiger Esper. Within All Might saying, of course, of course. But soon, walking over to Izuku, as then saying, young Midoriya, after all the hard work, your determination, and your will to basically push forward, even at that with your extra training from that of your Espers, for that, you truly have earned this with your own strength and own will alone. And for that, buffing up into that of his buff form, and then pulling out that of a single hair, and saying, eat this! With Izuku completely dumbfounded, alongside all of his Espers also making that of weird, disgusted, and somewhat dumbfounded looks themselves. With All Might explaining, well, to gain that of my quirk, you would need to at least digest that of my DNA. So it only makes sense that, as Faulkner actually spoke up saying, if he needs your DNA, why not just use that of a needle to prick your fingers and basically transfer the quirk that way instead? Does it really have to be a hair? Within hearing that, all the Espers look at that of All Might, with even Izuku waiting in anticipation for what All Might has to say. Well, I kind of figured it'd be better, especially without warning, going over to All Might. Hong Yu basically brings out one of that of her medkit needles out of her coat, pricks that of All Might's hand, and then pricks Izuku's hand, and then slam both hands together, saying, there, we are done here. Feel anything, Izu? Within, looking at that, her green net DJ, as Izuku no longer having that, trying to see if I'm not entirely sure. Within, soon All Might saying, this woman is truly scary. Her and Recovery Girl would be both monsters at UA together. Within saying, I haven't felt any changes yet. Does it take a while? Within, All Might saying, it does take a while to acclimate to the body. Just give it a few days, give it a few hours. It will fully become yours once it's done, once it fully becomes part of you. Within hearing that, Izuku nodding his head, saying, all right, once again, thank you, All Might. Bowing his head to that of his new mentor, as Lin Jiao basically whistles, saying, all right, enough of that. All right, Izuku, you and I got some sparring to do. Even before your quirk even activates, you gotta train. Within Izuku realizing, oh, right, thanks for reminding me. With that, she activates her Esper abilities as that of her tail and her ears soon pop out, as you can feel that of a battle aura basically erupting around that of her body as well. But soon, Izuku getting that in that of a, jumping stance, basically stepping in place, before then, looking like he's about to fight, getting in that of a fighter stance. One hit, as he has his left arm out, bend to the side, right arm up, and bend forward. As then soon, the two begin to clash and spar. While Izuku is basically holding on there, he still isn't strong enough to handle his Espers. Mainly because, he's not used to their powers just yet. And he wants to at least get acclimated to how people would fight without that of their quirks or with that of their powers. This is something he's been dealing with for the past 2 years, ever since gaining his Espers. With then Faulkner going over to that of Hong Yu and saying, so, are you going to scold them if they basically go overboard? Trust me, Ling Xiao knows not to piss me off. Izuku is already aware not to piss me off as well. With then Faulkner saying, figures as much. I hope the young master can handle himself during this spar. Also, now that I mention it, don't you have a photography shoot with that of Leona and Miss Bakugo? Within she's saying, normally I would tag along with that, but Izuku comes first. I told Leona that I had other important engagements, not something more important than that of a photo shoot. Hopefully they'll understand. With that of Leona, currently in that of Masafu, having that of a photo shoot with that of Misaki Bakugo. Due to Bakugo's parents being both that of, well, a fashion designer and that of a model as well, and many of Izuku's Espers are literally, well, celebrities in their own right from their own world, it only makes sense that some would basically take up certain jobs to pay after all and help out Izuku and Inko. Leona is a popular photography model after all, mainly for that of tomboys who basically want to feel, well, girly after all. She's quite popular with both males and females. As for that of Hong Yoon, when she's not, well, basically healing people all across that of Tokyo and looking after Izuku, which is basically her main job. She's also popular when it comes to that of, well, fashion and photography too. However, she doesn't like to take too many photos. She does like to critique that of Masaru about that of the outfits that he has and designs. However, the shoot has gone on quite longer, mainly to make up for that of Hong Yu not being there. And let's just say both Leona and Misaki are kind of annoyed at the fact that they having to do this multiple times. Back at Dagobah Beach, that's when that of Yongtron soon spoke up as he looked at the time saying, it should be around that time, shouldn't it? But then everybody looking at that of the spiky white-haired Esper, within realizing, I'm wondering if that meeting that Koharu, Alexa, had is finally done. Within realizing what he's saying, right, the orphanage that Koharu's trying to get up and running. Within, Camilla couldn't help but comment saying, that's Koharu for you, always sweet and kind, and always looking out for kids after all. You can't really blame her for wanting to try and help out the kids around who don't have any parents around here in the city, and possibly even across all of Tokyo, right? As everybody looks at that of Camilla, they always forget that the girl is quite intellectual for herself. The only reason that she acts like that of a wild child and yet she's 19 years old is mainly because she never had a childhood to begin with. Currently in downtown City Hall of Mustafu, leaving that of the massive building where most of the politics are taking place and that around the city, is that of Koharu and Alexa, with Koharu not wearing that of her Shrine Maiden attire but wearing that of a red sundress with white leggings and also that of red shoes, but still having that of her Shrine Maiden cap on. As for Alexa, currently in that of her black business suit, showing off her cleavage and everything. Within, Koharu sighing, saying, I can't believe it. We actually did it. After all these years, finally. Within, hugging that of Alexa, saying, thank you, Alexa. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Within, she's saying, anything for a fellow Esper, after all. Besides, giving back to the community by helping that of kids who lost their parents is only a good thing. Especially given all of the villain attacks. People within, Koharu saying, yeah, even though this reality looks like it's peace and people say that this is an era of peace, in reality, within, walking up to them, being that of Raven, with saying, in reality, this is not really truly an era of peace. On the surface it is, but deep down, there are way more people losing families and loved ones more often than not. And most of the kids who end up being orphans are either that of civilians, but a majority are that of kids of pro heroes. But then hearing this, Koharu can help but say, Raven, well, you're not entirely wrong. All I want to do is just give at least some kids some home and a place of comfort before the world is basically thrust on their shoulders. And at least give them a family that's willing to take them in. It's the least I can do from being in this world. But then Alexa basically brushing a strand of hair out of her face saying, oh, sweet little Koharu, you're doing what you can do. But then Koharu smiling saying, yeah, I guess you're right. With then looking at Raven saying, so, what are you doing here, Raven? With then that of the 40-year-old woman couldn't help but sigh, saying, bailing out Adrena once again. She got in trouble for her street performances. Within hearing that, both girls can help but say, not surprising. Speaking of the Foxlight girl, she's saying, hey, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Popping up out of nowhere like a cartoon character. Within, Alexa, not even fazed by that of Adrena's popping out of ness, saying, it's obvious because you're too much of a handful. Within, she basically scoffing, saying, well, excuse me for trying to put more joy in people's lives. Seriously, those whole laws about that if people can't use their quirks in public without permission is so stupid. What about those who can't control their quirks properly? Or don't have the money to buy support gear to help them suppress their quirks properly? Or use them as well? You're the politician here, Alexa. Isn't there any other laws that you can exploit for stuff like this? But then, Alexa saying, oh, trust me, there are plenty. Sweetheart, but I rather not. There's already too much light on me already with that of this latest stunt I pulled on trying to give Koharu her orphanage. I need to lay low for a little bit. So for the meantime, I'll be protecting and looking after little Izuku. Hearing that, all three women can help but say, figures as much. Within, Alexa looking at that of Raven saying, also, Raven, don't you have a gig coming up in a couple of weeks? Hearing this, the white-haired Esper realizing, right, I do. Within, Abadrina saying, alright, the big gig coming up. Eres Agna. I'm so hyped for that one. Isn't the person that you are working on for the concert being those famous musicians here in town? Within, Raven crossing her arms saying, yeah, the Jiros. That family couple, actually. Like they said, they wanted a backup singer, and I've been working with them from time to time. Also, I heard rumors that their daughter plans on going to UA just like Izuku. Hopefully the two ends up getting into the hero course together. With Koharu saying, wait, hero course? She's going to the hero course? But her family's musicians. I thought for sure she would go general studies. Nah, it seems like the girl actually has a thing for being a hero, wanting to help people in that way instead of just music alone. Gotta say, that's quite admirable for her. She might fit in with this little clique of ours. But then after saying her piece, she soon walks off saying, catch you guys back at Izuku's for dinner before heading back to my apartment. I got rehearsals to handle. Within, Adrena saying, rompesa Renata, or break a leg. After saying that, she couldn't help but nod before also flipping her off at the same time as she drives off in her bike with the same growl of thunder from her engine roaring. Within, Alexa shaking her head saying, well, that takes care of that. Come on, Koharu. We need to head to that of the building that you want to make as your orphanage. Saying, right, gotta get everything cleaned up too. Within, Adrena saying, hey, wait for me! Chasing after the other two Espers. However, little did they know, or rather, they choose not to, a certain someone was actually keeping an eye on them. Or rather, two certain someones. One being a familiar, black-wearing, messy long-haired, scarf-wearing pro-hero. And the other being a certain pro-hero that everybody knows and loves. And with that of red wings and spiky, messy blonde hair. Showing that Izuku's Espers are truly on the radar. And it's hard not to notice that of several foreigner women with that of one native Japanese young woman. Currently at that of the new Midoriya apartments, Inko currently basically looking over that of certain pictures, old baby pictures of Izuku, back in the days where he was still basically happy, excited, and always cheerful, with Drew basically offering tea to that of Inko, saying, my lady. Within, she's saying, thank you, Drew. Within, Parmi also looking at that of the picture saying, oh, he's so adorable. He's and not only that, Izuku looks so happy here. Within, she's saying, yeah, he was always excited, always wanting to play hero, especially All Might. Back then, nothing could always bring him down. Well, until within, Parmi could basically feel that of the emotion turmoil within that of Inko. And Drew, even though he doesn't have that of Parmi's powers. You can already tell from that of the mother of his new master after all. With Parmy saying, "You feel like you have failed him as a mother, haven't you, Miss Inko?" But then she's saying, I forget. You could read emotions. It's really that easy to tell with you." Within Drew, putting away that of the fine china cup, within taking a seat on the other side in one of the spare chairs in the living room saying, "Mistress Midoriya, I don't think you have failed as a parent." Within, she's saying, "Oh, how can you say that? Especially after everything." Within, Parmy saying, "It's true Izuku was quite a fragile and basically stuttering mess before we came in. That is certain, but I can tell the one thing in his life that was always constant, the one thing that kept him going outside of his dream of wanting to be a hero, that was you. It's always been you. You were his rock after all, outside of All Might and everybody else, and outside of just us too." Within, hearing that, Drew saying, "You should listen to her, Mistress Midoriya. Parmy is more than just that of words of encouragement. She is literally the young master's therapist. Anything he says, she says is the truth." Within, hearing that, Inko saying, "Shouldn't this be under patient therapist confidentiality?" Within, she's saying, "Normally, yes, but you are his mother and primary guardian. You have the right to know as well. Plus, we all live in the same house. It's gonna come up either way. Best to remove the band-aid while we can." Within, grabbing that of Inko's hands, with that of her own, within saying, "Please, have faith in yourself and have faith in your son. He truly does care about you, just as we care about you and him." Within Drew, also commenting saying, "That is right. We are loyal to that of the Midoriyas and Midoriyas alone. And you count as one, Mistress Inko. Anything that the master wishes, or whatever you wishes, I will follow. It is what a butler of my caliber should always do. But if it makes you feel any better, just as I always said before and I promised, I will always look after your son and protect him, as any good butler should." Hearing all this words of praise and love from that of Izuku's Espers, Inko couldn't help but say, "Thank you too. You truly both are." Within, she begins to basically tear up like crazy, as she has that of rivers of tears after all, as both Drew and Parmy are so used to this. However, currently from upstairs, seeing all of this, being that of Armin, and realizing, this is gonna be my life, isn't it? I really wish that Gil was here. She would make things a lot more easier. Still, within, looking over his phone, as he couldn't help but basically look at that of things on that of the dark web, especially about that of a certain little thing on the HPSC, and things he needs to tell his fellow Espers and his master, saying, "Looks like we better keep an eye out for what's to come. If our little DJ plans on being a hero, he's got a lot of roadblocks to overcome in the future." As what future holds for that of Izuku and his Espers, only time will tell. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Let's read them. So, how did you guys like this part? Honestly, sorry that this wasn't a fully action-packed or basically battle part or long as the others. Trust me, I wanted to make this longer, but to be fair, I wanted to focus more on the development and character interactions of all of Izuku's Espers in this part. That's why it's a short one. Not to mention how they have lives outside of Izuku, like I said before in the last part. With Leona being a fashion model, Yu is planning to be that of Recovery Girl's assistant in UA. I wonder how that's going to basically terrify everybody there. Koharu planning to make her own orphanage. Raven meeting that of Jiro's parents and possibly Jiro sooner than later, and Jiro may play a bigger part in this what if, who could say. And the Espers aren't the only ones helping out Izuku, but they're also looking after that of Inko as well. Not to mention, a lot of people have their eyes on that of Izuku's Espers too. So that means he's got to have to prepare, all of them have to prepare and watch out for what's to come in the future. So yeah, Anyways, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, keep to date my videos uploaded to the channel. Also, please go to my Discord, my gaming channel, my other channel, my side channel, my Patreon, and my Cash App. All link in description below. So, with all that said, this is Leon Mookie, signing out. Later, guys, and hope you all take care. Do it, Shiro.
Hi everyone, this is White Fox. If you liked Leon's video, click the video on the left to see the most recent one. And if you want to see more of this, click the subscribe button and notification bell and check out his playlists. If you still haven't subscribed, do so in the center. With that said, I hope to see you again on my love's channel. Bye!